I still remember the moment Elvis's face went pale, the night he suddenly stopped mid-song and whispered, "Dear God." That's her. After all these years, he wasn't seeing a fan. He was seeing a ghost from his past, the one woman he could never forget. You know, there are stories about Elvis Presley that live in the spotlight, the music, the fame, the screaming crowds. But then there are stories he carried only in his heart, stories he never shared with the public. And tonight, we're going to talk about the one that haunted him the most, the mystery woman Elvis could never forget. Before we begin, if you love untold stories from the past, take a moment to like and subscribe. It helps these memories live on. Most people assume Elvis's greatest heartbreaks were public: Priscilla, Ginger, and Margaret. But those closest to him whispered about someone else, someone the world never knew. It happened in 1956, right as Elvis was exploding into stardom. He had finished a show in Houston sweaty, exhausted, emotionally drained from the chaos of fame. As he walked backstage, he noticed a young woman sitting alone on a folding chair. No crowd, no autograph book, just quiet tears running down her face. "Ma'am, you all right?" Elvis asked gently. She looked up, and the king of rock and roll froze. Her name was Evelyn Grace Carter, a shy small-town girl who had slipped backstage by accident while trying to avoid the crowd. She apologized repeatedly, saying she wasn't looking for fame or attention. "I came to hear you sing," Evelyn whispered, "because my husband is fighting in Korea, and your songs remind me he's still alive." Elvis sat beside her. For once he wasn't Elvis Presley, superstar, just a young man who knew a thing or two about loneliness. They talked for an hour about music, fear, prayer, and war. When she finally smiled, Elvis said it was the kind of smile that could light the whole Opry. But their connection was deeper than either of them realized. Over the next months, Evelyn appeared at several shows across Texas and Tennessee, never up front, never screaming, always alone in the back row. And Elvis always noticed he would nod toward her before singing "Love Me Tender," and she'd smile softly, the smile that reminded him there was still gentleness in the world. One night, Elvis asked security to let her backstage after the show. She hesitated, saying she didn't want to bother a famous man. But Elvis shook his head. "Famous don't mean happy, darling. Sometimes I'm just trying to breathe." That night, they shared something he rarely shared with anyone: his fear of losing himself, his fear of fame swallowing him whole, his fear that his music wouldn't be enough for the people who depended on him. Evelyn listened like no one ever had. She didn't want money, didn't want a photo, didn't even touch him. She just listened. And sometimes that's all a lonely man needs. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had someone in your life who showed up at exactly the right moment? Someone who wasn't family, wasn't a lover, but somehow understood you better than anyone else? If you had that person, would you have fought to keep them in your life? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. In the spring of 1957, Evelyn stopped coming to shows. No letter, no goodbye. She simply vanished. Elvis grew restless, angry, distracted. 2 weeks later, a sealed envelope arrived at Graceland. Inside, it was a short handwritten letter. "Dear Elvis, you gave me hope during the darkest months of my life. My husband is coming home, and I need to rebuild the life we lost. You and I met at the wrong time, but you restored something in me I thought I'd lost. Please don't look for me. You were my miracle, but now I need to go back to the life I prayed for." Evelyn Elvis read that letter until the ink nearly faded. It wasn't a love affair. It wasn't betrayal. It wasn't scandal. It was something much deeper, a connection that healed her, but left him broken. For years, he kept that letter hidden inside his Bible at Graceland. In 1962, while touring near Dallas, Elvis did something unexpected. He asked his driver to take a detour through Evelyn's hometown. He didn't have her address, didn't know if she still lived there, didn't even know what he'd say if he found her. He simply said, "I just want to know she's all right." They drove through quiet streets lined with oak trees and old porches. Children played in yards. Neighbors waved, but Evelyn was nowhere to be found. One old shopkeeper recognized her name, said she'd moved away years earlier, Somewhere up north. Good woman. Real good woman. Elvis nodded, but you could see the disappointment in his eyes. He whispered, I hope she's happy, even if I never see her again. That was the last time Elvis ever looked for her, but he never forgot her dot in the last months of his life. Elvis spent long evenings alone at Graceland. One night, his close friend Charlie Hodge found him sitting quietly at the piano, holding an old, creased letter. Elvis, you all right? Charlie asked. Elvis smiled sadly. You ever meet someone who didn't love you the way the world thinks of love, but loved you just enough to save you? Charlie nodded. Who was she? Elvis tapped the letter gently. A girl named Evelyn, the one woman I could never forget. Charlie asked why. Elvis's answer was soft. Fragile, because she never wanted nothing from me, just wanted me to be okay. He pressed the letter to his chest. That kind of kindness, you don't forget that. Not ever. And that is the story of the mystery woman Elvis never truly let go of. A woman who came into his life quietly, loved him in her own gentle way, and disappeared just as quietly, leaving behind a memory that stayed with the king until his final breath. If this story touched you, please like the video, subscribe for more untold stories, and share your own experiences in the comments, because sometimes the people who change our lives the most are the ones the world never knows about.